Some other signs is feeling tired often, really fatigue often. And of course, as we just talked about, if you're feeling overwhelmed and constantly worrying, of course you're going to feel fatigue. But there's also the mental fatigue. Then there's an emotional fatigue, which is caused by the mental fatigue. Then there's the physical fatigue that is also caused by the mental fatigue, emotional fatigue, and then results in a physical fatigue. Now, don't get me wrong. There is natural ways of being physically tired. Just because you're physically tired at the end of the day does not mean you are burnt out. This is more than just that. That means you've worked really hard, or you've had a great day, you've exerted yourself, and you're ready for bed. That's that tiredness or fatigueness. But I'm talking about where your thoughts, everything around you, your thinking, your emotions are draining you to the point where you're tired or you can't cope. You're just fatigued. Maybe you're experiencing insomnia to the worst degree, even though you're really tired. Or maybe you're oversleeping. You got your good 6 to 8 hours of sleep, but you can sleep for another 10. Or you wake up and you don't even feel rested at all. This is all our ways of how we're waking up to life and what we're thinking when we wake up. If you're waking up at 7 a.m. and be like, I am dreading this. I can't deal with this one more day. I can't do this. I don't want to do it. Imagine what kind of motivation are you setting yourself up for the day? How are you starting your day off? Not really good. Rather, if you take the mind state of, today's going to be a great day. I'm going to deal with whatever comes my way. Whatever happens, I'll deal with it. Regardless what happens, I'm still going to have a good day. I'm happy and grateful to be able to wake up to such a beautiful day. Now just think about the way those two things sound in our mind, the first examples and then the second examples. And imagine what that would motivate your day to be like, how you would deal with things, how your perception would be of anything that comes your way. Totally changes that. Changes your environment that you're in the mental environment I'm talking about. Changes your thought process, changes how you deal with things. And I'm not saying you're going to be happy-go-lucky, all positive and capable of conquering the world, but you're going to be, yes, much more positive, yes, much more capable of dealing with whatever comes your way in a way that serves you, and have much more energy to use in the day, and probably have some to expel at the end of the night as well. So overall, your energy will not be drained by those negative thoughts. Those take away your energy. Positive, more correct thoughts keep your energy high, puts it where it needs to go, and keeps it a reserve tank, essentially, for later throughout the day, till when you go to sleep, of course, and regenerate and recuperate. Losing weight or gaining weight. Weight is such a huge issue when we are feeling stressed. Our bodies are fluctuating constantly when you're on a high level of stress, from sleep, from our diets, from worrying. Imagine what that does in our stomach and how that's being processed in there. And our stomach is our second brain, is what they say. And you may hear the term, if I listen to my gut, or you got to listen to your gut instinct. That's because it's really telling you what's going on. This is a good situation. Maybe you should be more careful in this situation. Not such a great situation. Danger. Whatever it may be. Your stomach's trying to tell you something. But when you're in a constant heightened mode of stress, it's telling you the same stuff over and over again. You're stressed, you're stressed, you're stressed. So when you're in the stress mode, like anything else, you're not making the most rationalized decisions, the most sensible decisions, the most logical, reasonable decisions. You are looking for comfort food. Maybe you don't feel like cooking because you don't have the energy. So you go get takeout, go to the drive-through, go get something really greasy and delicious, but you know you're going to regret it after. Or maybe you just don't eat at all. Maybe it's the opposite. You have no appetite, can't eat, don't want to eat, have no interest in eating. Food doesn't appeal to you. And so, polar opposites. At the end of the day, you're looking for comfort through these means. And so, when you're feeling good, you're able to make good decisions about food. You're able to choose food that fuels you better, that gives you what you need in your body. And food, by all means, makes up our whole anatomy, makes up our whole body. So whatever you're putting in there is what your body's going to be like, your mind is going to be like, all of it. So knowing that, what do you think about putting some fast food in it? What's your body going to do? What's your mind going to do? It's going to be full of junk. It's going to think junk thoughts. It's going to beat you up about eating that bad fast food or that greasy food or having that extra meal when you shouldn't have and you could have just done without it. Like all of these things related to guilt. And then you start beating yourself up over it. Like that causes stress too. And so you've completely lost control, even of your own choices of your diet. And your diet makes up how your mind functions, how your thoughts are, your healthy thoughts, your unhealthy thoughts, your whole body composition, if you are lean or overweight or just kind of meeting the middle, if you're happy with your body, unsatisfied with your body. Like there's so many variables with weight. And it's such a taboo kind of thing to talk about because there's this concept where you can only be happy if you have like a six-pack and you're ripped and you have like all your muscles showing and like that doesn't exist all the time. Sometimes people can look like that and really be extremely unhealthy, and then someone can look overweight or like have a little bit of meat on them and be extremely healthy and more healthy actually. So it's like finding that balance, right? And it's just like what the perception is in mainstream media of what we have to look like or what's trending now or what our body composition should be like and what you should be eating and feeding yourself and what's okay and what's not okay. But like take your health into your own hands. Look at the food that you're eating. Where are you getting your food from? What's it full of or not full of? Where did it come from? Will this benefit me or not? What's this doing for me? And really, like the source of it. Is it off the shelf in all the aisles of the grocery store? Or is it in the area that's kept nice and spritzed with water and fresh? We have to really consider our food. And so when you're in a stressed out state, the food that you eat contributes to that stress. And if you're making I don't want to say wrong choices, but if you're making bad choices in what you're eating, then your stress can, as you can imagine, will stay in that bad level, essentially. Becoming easily irritated or angry. Stress causes frustration, it causes anger, makes you confused. You're not able to sort things out. It's just a lot. So, of course, caregivers can feel this stress. They're just not dealing with things properly that it makes them irritated and angry. Maybe they're not setting aside time for themselves, or maybe it's taking away a lot from their time and it bothers them or makes them feel annoyed by it and it starts irritating them. So they become angry and frustrated and lose their patience a lot more. And then, unfortunately, my lovely caregivers feel guilt afterwards for behaving like that because they don't really mean it, but it's like an outburst. They can't control it. And this is where then you start beating yourself up over it. And like you're in this position because you care, but you can't care for yourself if you're beating yourself up over feeling irritated and angry. So Stress does cause that, an accumulation, even not even an accumulation, any type of stress, if it's just too much, it does cause those emotions. And I always encourage you to feel through your emotions. Don't suppress them, because that causes even worse outcomes. So feel it. And if you do feel the guilt, then we need to change that behavioral trait. Losing interest in activities you used to enjoy. That's that keyword joy. And joy is like happiness, constantly reaching for what brings me happiness, what brings me joy. Everyone's trying to find this, but truly, it's really a deep internal thing. It's not an item, it's not one thing. It's being fully content with yourself and your level of well-being, and really feeling a sense of satisfaction with where you are in life, but also always willing to grow. And so joy is an internal feeling, which then you can express through things that you love to do. But when you've had that disconnection of losing interest, or suppressing your interests, or not engaging in your interest on a mental level, like not just physically, but like in your head, like for instance, I'll give you an example. At one point, I was just playing guitar because I was like, I need to learn another instrument. I just want to learn another instrument. I love string instruments. They're my thing. I was learning it for whatever reason. I don't even know. It was cool. I loved the concept. Actually, was I would love to bring my guitar to when I go to a campfire or go sit in a backyard and be that person just quietly strumming and putting that ambient music on. That's what I liked about guitar, and I love it. You could take it anywhere and play music. And I also always enjoyed, the violin. So I was like, okay, I'm going to learn guitar because, it's relatively similar with the strings and the fingers. So anyway, so I did that, and I've had a guitar now for like a long time. Too long. I don't even want to say how long because I'm embarrassed. And I never connected with it. I didn't feel the joy with it, but I wasn't feeling joy in any parts of my life. And it's because my mind was not focused on enjoying guitar. It was just the pressure of learning it. And oh man, I'm not getting it. I'm getting frustrated with myself. It's pissing me off. I'm getting angry. Rather than being like, okay, it just takes practice. Practice makes perfect. If I practice more, the outcomes are better. We all know this logically, but at an emotional level, we don't think that way. We beat ourselves up over not being able to play it the first time, or remember it the next day, or whatever it may be. So after I got past that mental loop, that block that I had about enjoying things and actually connecting with them on an emotional level in a better way, thinking about it in a better way of how I use my time, how things affect me, why am I doing this, evaluating, like it all comes down to self-evaluation and really asking myself, what am I getting out of this? I love this, but I want to get better at this. Like breaking that whole loop of that negative thought and like, why am I thinking this way? It really helped me rediscover joy again. Like I was so desperate to find joy. I was telling my naturopath, like, I don't feel joy. I need to find joy. It is your own job that you have to do to break those internal factors that are keeping you away from feeling joy and really getting raw with yourself, getting real, like really just breaking that barrier and noticing what's keeping you from finding joy. What does joy feel like to you? And it is there's active joy and passive joy, but all together, joy is just a whole sense of feeling just comfortable, content with yourself and what your environment is like around you. And that means like within you, because your environment in you creates the environment outside of you. So knowing that, thinking about that, and thinking about joy as an emotion in our head, and we know our thoughts create our emotions, which creates our events, that's how you get to joy.